Yeah. Um, so I'll start with Syndicate. So earlier I was talking about Pure Soul Entertainment, which was the promotion company that was started by a friend and I years ago. That company ended up crashing and burning, literally.
Welcome back to the Scorpion S podcast. Today I have a good friend of mine, Eric Zingheim, aka DJ DangerWayne. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to be here, introduce you to a whole new audience. I don't know why you don't know DJ DangerWayne yet, but you will after this podcast. So we have a lot to get into, but first I want to talk about, you just had a show over at Navy Pier for New Year's Eve, is that correct?
Yeah,
How was that?
it was awesome. Yeah, it was great. I ended up playing, I was playing the early slot from 8 to 10:30, and then I had to play in West Loop afterwards. So it was great up until I had to leave.
Yeah.
Because there was they shut down all the roads on the side of Navy Pier.
Oh, shoot.
So like I was with a trumpet player who I was playing with at the show, and we both had to go to West Loop, and so we were like booking it through Navy Pier. Just we had to go like across. We ended up having to go across Lakeshore Drive just to get in an Uber. Ended up being like almost 45 minutes late to the second gig.
Oh, man. So you're running across Lakeshore Drive with turntables and trumpets on your back and dodging cars and stuff?
I don't bring equipment, thankfully. Pretty much everywhere that I play is just like plug in a flash drive, and
Okay.
yeah, they have pretty much standardized equipment. Pioneer is the brand typically, and yeah, it's set up to where you can just plug in your flash drive, all your music comes up, but yeah, the instrumentalists that I work with, they're the ones that have to carry all the stuff around. So.
Yeah. What was it like at Navy Pier? Like, that's not a normal club scene that you usually play at, correct?
Yeah, it's super different. It's a massive room. Obviously, we're in the ballroom, which is always really cool just to see, a big mass of people. I did it 2 years ago as well, and that one I did like the headlining slot, so I did like I handled like the countdown and the ball drop and all that, and that one was a little more interesting because like shortly after midnight, I was doing my thing and getting everybody riled up,
Yeah.
and I don't know, the security detail wasn't on point enough apparently, because people started coming onto the stage like one by one. And it got out of hand to the point where we had to shut it down because there was like 50 people on stage. Somebody like took a microphone,
Damn.
a wireless microphone, and they were running around the place. Nobody knew where they were, and they were screaming into the mic.
They're like, cut the mic.
Yeah. It just took like a really long time, and then like eventually they were just like security got overwhelmed, and they were like. They're like, yeah, shut it down. And we did. I started playing again after like 20 minutes or so, but it was right around the exact time that that Travis Scott concert tragedy happened.
So venues are just on edge, like insurance companies are
apparently they weren't, but I was.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. And yeah, it was.
You're
wild.
like, I have an image to uphold.
Yeah, I have some videos that I can send to you later.
That'd be sweet. And did you get cut off before the midnight ball drop, or was the chaos afterwards?
I think it was at like 12:30.
Okay.
And I know that because I just found that video because I was like thinking about that happening, and I was like, when did that happen? Because I was looking at my set time for this for this time around. But yeah, I was on the early slot, so it was pretty easy just opening. People aren't really dancing yet at that time. Everyone's just kind of like taking pictures and hanging out. I did make it on NBC 5 I had some family members send me, you know, the old folks that were sitting at home, like,
they're like,
I know that guy, yeah. So that was cool. I still haven't found the clip though. I just have a bunch of shitty pictures from.
Well, any of the listeners out there or viewers, if you guys find the clip of NBC5 DangerWayne, send it to us and we'll get it to his archives.
Yeah, please do.
So this year, after you were at Navy Pier, what club did you go to for the midnight ball drop?
That was the Vig West Loop.
Okay.
It's brand new. They just opened like a couple months ago, maybe.
Okay.
They had a the first Vig was in Old Town in Wells, and then they just opened a second place in West Loop.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean the Old Town location always has a lot of buzz, so I'm excited to check out the new location.
Yeah, it's similar vibes. It's like old school, like gangster-esque, and yeah, just better sound system, newer, bigger.
Same ownership group or different?
Yeah. The group is called Legacy Entertainment.
Okay. Well, let's jump into how'd you even get into the nightclub scene, the DJing scene? Because a lot of people, I'm sure, our age group grew up, you know, listening to techno music, house music, and dreaming of becoming, you know, that superstar that's getting everybody amped up. And you know, only a select few people get to actually become a DJ. So I'm curious what your kind of come up story is there.
Yeah, so we can go back. We can go all the way back to like teenage years when it was a hobby, or
yeah, I want to hear the inspiration to DJ DangerWayne.
Okay, yeah. So I started when I was 15. A friend and myself, we took out a loan from his dad. We went and got equipment, and at the time it was just there were some older kids in our neighborhood that were DJing like birthday parties and stuff, and we thought it was cool, and we were like, we can do that.
Yeah.
You know, we were really into music at the time, and just spending all of our money on CDs, which was that
ancient technology.
Yeah. That was that era, and then that was around the time when like CD burners came out too. So we spent a ton of time doing that. Just always collecting music, and then playing music when we were hanging out. Got the equipment, and that's when the hobby began. I remember the first gig that I did. One of our parents my mom, I think, drove us in a minivan.
Classic.
And I remember the first gig that we ever did. It was somebody's birthday party in the suburbs, Park Ridge, where I grew up. And we thought we were like these business moguls. We were like we were handing out flyers and stuff, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna start this business, and we're like, we're gonna charge $60 an hour
as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, it's big money.
Yeah.
So we got our first gig, $60 an hour. It was like, I don't know, like 4 hours. So we're counting this money up. Yeah. We're like, hell yeah.
Look at these 20s.
Yeah, we get to the end of the gig, and this woman just hands us $60. We're like, no, an hour. And she was like, no. Like, I don't remember how the conversation went, but like we walked away with $60. And we were like,
that's a heartache.
Yeah. So we learned about contracts really early on. But yeah, from there, fast forward a bit, it was always just a hobby. Never considered it to be like a path to a job or anything. And at the time, the DJing in general, just it was not nearly as big as it is now. It was still like very underground. So I was of the mindset, you go to college, you get a job, and then if you have a hobby, that's great. And so that's what I did. I went to school for firefighting.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I did really bad in high school. I started going to nightclubs during high school. Literally, like Thursday nights, I would go out to Energy Thursdays, which was this place in Stone Park, and they played dance music. It was basically like a rave.
Yeah.
It was 17 and older, and we'd go out and stay out all night long, like end up at an after party in like Wheaton or like Joliet or something, and then go to school the next day on zero sleep and just be a total zombie.
Yeah.
So go through the college years. I started working as a paramedic. I did that for 9 years actually before I ended up quitting. But while I was doing that, I was still, keeping it as a hobby. When I turned 21, that's when I, realized that there's an opportunity to, break into the club scene. I had already been going out to bars and clubs. I had a fake ID when I was like 18.
Sure. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. But I'd never, kind of put two and two together that, I could,
right.
I could be the one in the DJ booth, like making everyone dance. And eventually, I think my first gig, there's a few. I'm not completely sure which one was the first, but the one that I remember the most was I got connected with this guy, Gino Bartucci, who he now owns Gino and Marty's in the West Loop.
Yeah.
He's a super successful entrepreneur now, and he's still a friend. He's still a friend of mine. He went to my high school. He's a few years older than me, but got connected with him. He was managing this place called Amp Rock Lounge. Before that, it was called Catacombs.
Okay.
It's on Lincoln. I think it's called The Drop now, but it was this underground bar, and he was managing it, so I kind of had an in.
Yeah.
And so I came up with this plan. I was gonna host my sister's birthday party there, because I think intuitively I just knew, like, why would this guy want to hire this DJ that has no reputation,
right,
who hasn't done it before? And so I was like, I need to figure out a way that I can bring him some sort of value. And so that was the plan I came up with. I said, let me host my sister's birthday. I'll bring a bunch of people.
Yep.
Just let me DJ. And I don't even know if I asked for money at that point or not. I really don't. I probably did. Probably $60.
Yeah, that's the going rate.
Yeah.
Plus inflation, so 75.
Yeah. And so I got through the event, and it was successful. He was happy. I didn't like screw up horribly.
Yeah.
I remember I got really drunk because I was so nervous. I ended up throwing up in a bucket afterwards, and he actually was really nice about it. Gino was really nice about it, and we began working together like after that. One of the guys there that was a mutual friend of myself, and he was my brother-in-law's best friend, this guy Phil. He was like, he had been working as a promoter at like Soundbar and like all these different places, and he kind of saw the potential in what we did that night also. And he was like, let's do something with this. And so he started the promotion company, which became Pure Soul Entertainment. And I became the resident DJ. So he and I would go to different venues, and we would pitch them, hey, we're this new promotion company.
Yeah.
We'll bring you these people. We'll sell tickets. We'll do whatever. This is our DJ.
So you're starting to get a following. You're starting to build a team at this point.
Yeah.
What time frame is this? What year or so?
This is around 2009, 2010.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe even a little bit later. So yeah, so we start building that up a little bit. One of the other first gigs, before I continue, was at this place called Dream Lounge, I remember. And I showed up, and they only had one turntable. And, and I happened to have my iPod. So I was playing on one turntable and an iPod.
So you have to sync up the iPod to the turntable to do the transitions and stuff, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I basically had to only play songs on the iPod that I knew the BPM of, so that I could sync up the other side, the other turntable with it. Yeah. Really advanced stuff for a newbie, and that did not go well.
Well, you brought up earlier, the folks our age group, there wasn't a ton of people getting into like actually being DJs. Do you think the technology at the time was kind of like a roadblock, or kind of like the gatekeeper to people wanting to get into the industry?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people, especially like the older jaded people. I'm not a very jaded person, but I am older. So what we'll say is that it used to be better because in order to become a DJ, it was a lot harder. So therefore, you had to be really passionate about it. Whereas now it's literally just a decision. Like anyone can be a DJ. You can even be a famous DJ just based on a decision if you have money to do it.
Is there a way to tell which DJs have like actual technical skills when it comes to mixing and producing versus one of these kids that are just coming up with a MacBook or an iPad and the software to just string songs together? Like, can you tell, or is it kind of blurred lines at this point?
Yeah, no, you can definitely tell. When it comes to DJing, there's like a faux pas that a lot of DJs will call out. If the club has the standard CDJ setup, which is like, no, it's like $12,000 worth of gear, and it's like, you know, most of the nicest clubs will have this setup. The newbie beginner DJs who are just kind of like undercutting people and taking shortcuts, they'll bring their little controller, which is just the all-in-one little piece that connects to their laptop, because they don't know how to use the house gear.
Gotcha.
So if you can't take the time to learn the industry standard gear, then you're not really serious as, you know, as an artist.
Sure.
So that's usually a telltale sign, because I can't think of any like actual professional DJ that would do that.
Right.
Using a laptop isn't an issue at all to me. Some of like the best DJs in the world prefer to use laptops and use software. Like Deadmau5, for example, like he doesn't even use turntables.
Yeah. Okay. And it's just laptop.
Yeah.
I mean, because the software kind of replicates what the physical hardware can do, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess Deadmau5 is a whole different. He's a whole different species, because he's using like software that he kind of creates himself, and he's not actually DJing, and he doesn't claim to be a DJ
Interesting.
either.
Yeah.
He's just more of he's a producer, and then when he performs, he's kind of just performing his productions, and what he does is actually arguably more complicated than what a DJ does, but he's not just selecting, you know, songs and taking input from the crowd. He's planning out a performance, and it's also synced with his lighting,
the show and everything,
pyrotechnics, and so it's totally different.
So through your journey, you know, you start building this team, you start building some notoriety. Now, how do you go from like 1 to 2, or like the next level? So you start getting gigs at actual bars and clubs because you're 21 now. Like, talk me through that transition period where you're starting to grow a little bit.
Yeah, so it was really just kind of step by step. We started doing like I'd say it was like once a month, and like everything we did, we tried to do it big and over the top.
Yeah,
because that's what worked, and that's what got our foot in so many doors. And so it was building the brand of Pure Soul Entertainment, building my brand as well. And we kind of just worked our way up to the point where the clubs that we wanted to get into started to notice us, because they couldn't not notice us. And then that's when we started getting involved in, I think the Mid was which at the time, that was like the iconic nightclub in Chicago.
Yeah.
To this day, I still think it was the best club that we had in our era, at least.
While we're on this point, Chicago seems to have, I guess, like a revolving door of clubs opening and closing, whether it's because of good or bad management or neighborhoods evolving or whatnot. What are a couple clubs in Chicago that aren't around anymore that you miss either frequenting as a guest or actually playing as a DJ?
Definitely the Mid.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the other like main clubs that well, Crowbar was the club.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit before my time. I think I tried to get in there like 3 times and got denied because I was underage.
Oh yeah,
And
that'll happen.
Yeah, and it closed. I think shortly after I turned 21. So like Crowbar gets brought up all the time. Like that was just like that was just a legendary spot. It's now Prism.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew that. But yeah, I ended up getting residency at Prism, but it was just a totally different era. But the Mid, so that was like always the goal was to play at the Mid. And
we used to go to a club called Enclave, I think it was, where I believe headquarters in River North is now.
Yeah. Enclave was amazing. Yeah, that was another one. That was definitely another one that's no longer there. That that was incredible. I did my 21st birthday was.
Oh really?
There. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an Instagram page that highlights all the retired clubs in Chicago. I'll have to try and find it and send it to you, but a lot of memories at these places, and like the physical infrastructure usually stays, but it's like the vibes, the management might change. So it's interesting that it evolves so much in the city. Yeah.
Some of the like most iconic clubs are still around in the same spot, like Spy Bar, Soundbar too.
Yeah.
Those have been there like forever, and they don't really show signs of slowing down. They're managed well, and they have a good entertainment team in place to make sure that they're booking big artists every weekend.
So good management keeps the clubs around, and as long as you're taking care of the patrons and you're bringing in good talent, you're gonna stick around for a while in this.
Yeah. It's like any business. You just have to do things correctly, treat people well, and a lot of it comes down to the talent buying, and then also just like the overall vibe. Like Spy Bar is probably super unique in just the way that it's always been run. It's always been it's an underground like basement club, and they've always kept it purely house music. They've never really sold out. They've had some like a few. I think they went into like Latin nights and some tried to do some like top 40 stuff, but their brand has just always remained the same, and it's always just been like a cherished spot. Smart Bar is like that too, which I haven't hung out there too often, but I've been there a few times and always had a great time.
You mentioned the term underground, but there was a club called Underground, I think in River North, right?
Yeah.
And are they still
they just
managing
closed.
or?
They just closed pretty recently, and they're opening a club they're opening an underground in Nashville, I think.
Okay.
Somewhere else. But they had a very, very long run.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were like a hip hop top 40 venue. But they're always like run really well, like top notch hospitality, and they own Sunda, the restaurant, and I think a few other places.
Are there any clubs that you haven't played at in Chicago that you like to headline at?
No clubs. I've never played Salt Shed. I was booked there, and then I was booked there with I think it was like Wiz Khalifa or something.
Really?
It was super random, but it ended up getting canceled. So I haven't done that yet. I did.
Well, Wiz, if you're watching, let's run that back. Let's get that going.
Hit my line. I did Radius. That was like a big bucket list.
Yeah, Radius is huge.
Yeah, that's a massive venue. Other than that, like my focus and my goal has always been to get out of Chicago, especially like the last like several years, because I've ran through every club, like every bar, and it's starting to happen. So where are you branching out to right now, or like in 2025? Do you have gigs outside of the city? Yeah. Actually, next week, Thursday, Washington, D.C., there's Bodega Taqueria.
Oh, nice.
They're opening one there.
Yeah.
So I'm doing like the friends and family like soft opening on a Thursday, and then I go to Boston on Saturday at a place called Muriel Underground.
Nice.
Which is just an upscale club there. And that's just coincidentally next weekend, but I'm not like, I don't really have much traveling plans outside of that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for more and more of those, because that's just been, it's more exciting for me to be in, and it's also challenging at the same time to be dropped into a different city.
Yeah.
And a different culture, and different, like, the whole room is strangers. Like every club I go to in Chicago, like, I'm saying hi to people, because I know, like, people know me, and there's just like there's some comfort in that, like knowing that people know you, they know your reputation, you know, they know what to expect.
It was like Anchorman, people know me.
Yeah. Whereas when you're in a different city, it's like, you know, it's you're on your own, and you're it's
like, who's this guy from Chicago thinking he's hot stuff? Let's see what DangerWayne's got behind the booth.
Yeah, and so like there's that element of like of challenge, and it's just also just it's exciting, and then you know you're making new fans that way also, and making new friends too.
Yeah.
So
on this transition to other cities and new territory, bring us behind the booth a little bit. Talk to us about, like, how do you read the room? Is it like, are you actively performing and creating this musical entertainment, or are you building like a playlist at home and you're like, once I hit play, I'm running it? How does it work like that?
Yeah, so I never pre-plan sets, so it's never like, you know, this song, this song, this song, this song. But it comes down to preparation and your preparation habits. So for me, I try to do every single Wednesday is like my music prep day. I go through record pools, so I'm subscribed to these different services that send me all the latest music. A lot of it is already edited to be more mixable. I'll go through all of them, decide what I like, what I don't like. I'll download probably around 100 songs a week, and then I drop them into the record box software, and then that's where I'm going through each song. I'm labeling it, and then putting it into playlists, which are within folders, which are within other folders, and all of it gets whittled down to a flash drive, which when I plug in at the club, it pulls up that system that I've set up. And over the years, I've designed a way of organization that works really well, to where I can just move within vibes and different genres like very quickly with very little thought. And so it frees up, being organized frees up, you know, a lot of extra space, like while you're DJing, to look out into the crowd. Yeah. And so a huge difference between professional DJs and somebody who's a hobbyist or somebody who's just getting started is just that amount of time that's allocated to, you know, taking in the room. So when you first start, you're basically just focused on not messing up your transitions. Right. So you're just kind of like, oh shit.
And people notice that too. Yeah. Have you ever been at a wedding or whatever where you get a budget DJ and you're like, that transition sucks?
Yeah. Yeah. So to be the prerequisite for being considered a professional DJ is not messing up your transitions. Once you do that, then you can start moving on to the next levels, and one of the last things you do is going to be mastering, taking input from the crowd. So when you first start playing, you're like, don't mess it up, and that's all you're focused on. Yeah. And then after, you know, years of experience, that becomes like just secondhand. Like I don't even think about the transition anymore, because I can do it with my eyes closed. Like I don't have to think about it. So what I'm thinking about is how did the crowd just react to that last song, or is it getting stale in here? Do I need to switch it up? Yeah. And then that's where there's a major difference between a top tier DJ and just a DJ.
I mean, there's so many different factors you have to bring in when you're managing a crowd, I imagine, right? Because there's how long somebody has been at the club. Like, you can't just be fast paced, jumping up and down for 4 hours, because
Yeah.
people get tired. And also people are consuming alcohol at the club. So their state of mind's changing, and you're marrying all these different factors to give somebody an experience that they're never going to forget.
Yeah. Yeah. As a general rule, you want to do like peaks and valleys. And that's the best, because people do get tired.
Yeah.
And like people will get burnt out. You want to give people a chance to maybe go grab a drink. And so like it sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes you want to take the energy back down.
Yeah.
So that you can bring it back up again. But when you have a lot of tools in your arsenal, you can bring the energy down while still keeping everybody super like excited and happy to be there.
Yeah.
By playing, certain songs.
So do you ever get people coming up to you with requests when you're at the club, or is there not access to you when you're on this DJ booth?
Even when there's not access, people find a way.
They got like that app where they can like write on their phone and they're like, play this.
Yeah. And even if they weren't allowed their phones, they would like send a messenger pigeon or something. like they'll like write it on their foreheads and be like,
wagon wheel.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like it's a nightly thing. And
does it bother you, or it's just part of the game?
It's part of it. It can be bothersome because some people are just like rude.
Yeah.
Especially like if they keep coming up and like and I'll usually just be honest. Like I've gone through like multiple stages of how I react to requests. like in the past, like I used to just always give them the thumbs up.
Yeah. And I'll get right on that.
Yeah, but then I realized like some people are just relentless, and they're just inconsiderate and rude people, and they'll just keep coming up. And
you like take the headphones off. You're like, you do it then.
yeah. And I know some DJs that are like will get rude, but like I'm just not a rude person, so I'm probably overly nice, and that's probably why it happens to me. But so I stopped doing that, and now I just say I'll usually say sorry, I'm not allowed to.
Yeah. Make the management the bad guy.
Yeah. And then I'll usually follow it with like, but what is it?
Yeah.
Because I do like to hear it sometimes, because sometimes it's helpful. Especially like when I play at like some like top 40 like venues, where like that's not really my kind of music, but I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are the best parties that I play. But sometimes it's good to get input from somebody who really loves that music.
Right.
So like they might say a song that like I'd be like, ugh, that's so corny, but that'll probably work.
It'll probably work.
Yeah, you're probably right. So yeah, when people do ask requests, I write them. I always write them down in my notes.
Because if it starts becoming like a frequent request, the audience is like vibing to that lately.
Yeah. And then sometimes I'll play the request because I'm not sure, and I want to test it. And I always kind of laugh to myself when it just falls flat. I'm like, you idiot.
Hey, this guy requested that.
Yeah.
So getting away from the annoyances and the common folk, have you ran into any of your celebrity, not crushes per se, but any people you look up to, or have you kicked it with anybody cool?
Yeah. I've like opened and or closed for like all of like my idols, like pretty much.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Pretty much like everyone. I've had an opportunity to work with everybody. That was from my residencies at the Mid and also at Prism, because they were booking in like worldwide talent every single week, and I had the opportunity to get on shows with like all of those, like Deadmau5, Cascade, Tiesto, Martin Garrix, Zed. My favorite like famous DJ is Chris Lake. And I've been able to play with him twice, I think. And I try not to bother those guys, because most of the time, they're on like a heavy tour schedule, and they're just like, they just want to chill, like in between, like they're like coming off of planes, like about to get back on a plane, or about to go, hit the hotel for a few hours and then take off.
Yeah, they got to be exhausted.
Yeah. So I'm usually just, can I get you anything? Like I'll ask them, can I get you a drink?
Yeah.
Like, and I'll run around, do whatever. But
Well, they say you never want to meet your idols, but you've met a lot of them. Have most of them been pretty chill, or have anyone surprised you with like how they act outside of the booth?
Yeah, most of them have been like really nice, for the most part. And I think that's kind of a prerequisite for success in the music industry, is like you have to be, not in all cases. I think Carnage was kind of a dick. You know that guy? But yeah, like for the most part, it's just, and that's like at any business, at any level. If you're meeting other people like within an industry, like you want to be friendly.
Yeah, and your industry is heavily weighted on relationships.
Yeah.
Not only for you to get to the next level or entry into a new venue or whatever, but literally every person that comes to your show is like a micro relationship you're building as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like I get, like now, because I've been doing it so long, most of my like inquiries come from, previous events. Like I'll DJ, like I try not to DJ weddings, but every time, like I'll do a wedding for a friend, let's say, and like a lot of them have been destinations, so like that's cool because I get to go places. But every time I DJ a wedding, I get at least one other inquiry like, hey, I was at this wedding. Like, can you DJ my wedding? I'll pay you whatever you want. And I usually will come up with a number that I think like they'll say no. And then like half the times they say no, like, oh, that's over our budget. And half the times they're like, yeah. I'm like, shit.
Damn, should have went higher.
Yeah. But it's like those weddings, like the people who really appreciate a good DJ, those end up being like great weddings, and it ends up being like a great time. So yeah, like I'm like moving into like luxury weddings, like like without even really without trying to, but
there's a guy I follow on Instagram. I think his name's like DJ Spinelli or something. I don't know if you know him, but
I've seen his clips.
Yeah, his content game is fire. So maybe we'll have to get him on the podcast soon. But he's always posting clips about his transitions and like pranking the crowd sometimes and whatnot. He's having fun doing it. So
yeah,
there is a market for wedding DJing, but it sounds like you're on a different path to, I don't know, maybe Vegas.
Yeah, I love Vegas. Vegas is my favorite city.
Yeah.
I'm a gambler, you know this.
Yep.
But I was building a relationship with Vegas pre-COVID. And how I did it was, instead of me pitching myself to these corporations that run these like massive, venues, and they have like, this big corporate structure that's almost impossible to pierce into. I was curating events of my own here in Chicago, and then I would go to Vegas like multiple times a year to network and just for fun also. And I started meeting people in the scene there, and I would say, hey, this event is cool that you have here. And it's mostly stuff that's like off the strip in Old Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I have a similar event in Chicago. Do you want to like work together? You come play my event, I'll come play your event.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And so I had built it up to where I was like going there like once a month, especially in the summertime. And then COVID came, and kind of like all those contacts kind of like got washed out.
Yeah.
Like people like had to do other like move to different industries, stuff like that. And then management turnover. But I would love to make my way back into Vegas again.
I'm sure if you lost, I don't know, $10,000-$15,000 a day at the tables, they'd recognize you and maybe give you a free spot at one of the nights out. But
you might be onto something.
There's multiple ways to get the attention of management.
Yeah.
So when you get to Vegas, what casino or what club are you looking to play at first?
Play at first, or just like the goal?
Well, you got to get in somewhere. So give me like what you'll settle for as like your first gig, and then what's your top tier goal?
So I used to play at Dre's Beach Club.
Oh, really?
Which, yeah. So like that was like one of the main spots that I play. It was during the week. It was super chill. It was like mostly for hotel guests, but I became friends with the guy who curated that day party, and so like that was amazing.
Yeah.
It's like $100 million plus like day club, and it was like surreal. But the other club that I'm obsessed with is the Wynn nightlife clubs. So like XS and Encore Beach Club.
Yep.
And I'm friends with the resident DJ. He's from Chicago.
Oh, really?
Mark Stout, his name is. He's somebody that I've always looked up to. I'm friends with him now. You know, we talk on the phone every now and then. And every time I go to Vegas, I visit him, hang out in the DJ booth. But yeah, he's a total legend, and definitely would love to ride his coattails somehow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've got my crew's got a story at On Club, or was it Encore Beach? Yeah. So I think it was like 2014. We went to the club. It was like 4th of July. We were going to see Macklemore at the club. So my buddy Mike, he custom makes a tank top and says, "I'm here for Ryan Lewis," because the group was Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, but nobody really gave Ryan the time of day, unfortunately. So Mike's like, "I'm supporting the other guy." So we're in the pool, and one of us turns around. We notice up on the cabanas, Macklemore's up there just chilling with his homies. So we all turn around, and Mike's like, "I'm here for Ryan Lewis." And Macklemore takes a picture. He tweets it. He's like, "Hey, America, it's turn up time." And it's just like me and my 7 homies. And we got, I don't know, like 80, 90,000 likes on the post. And we're just thinking we're like the shit. So I have a soft spot in my heart for Encore.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Just like hanging out there, like over the years, like you always see celebrities there. I saw Dave Chappelle there, just like hanging out. That guy from the chef from The Bear, I forget what his name is.
Oh, Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah. Saw him there.
Have you kind of switching topics a little bit? Have you watched the new Avicii documentary?
No, I haven't had a chance.
I know they made a doc, I don't know, 5-6 years ago.
I saw that
about
one.
that, and
yeah.
I think this one is a little bit more focused on his music, which is nice. Obviously, he had the tragic passing, and he was another DJ that was, part of our era, like just iconic with Levels, and seeing him go through his come up journey was pretty wild.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely have to watch that. Actually, I don't think I ever did a show with him, because I think we just never crossed paths, I don't think.
Yeah, that would have been super cool.
Yeah.
So you do DJing. This is it's not a hobby anymore. It's more passion and business. And I noticed that you have multiple accounts that you're connected with as well. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about Treble Monsters and Syndicate Chicago.
Yeah. So I'll start with Syndicate. So earlier I was talking about Pure Soul Entertainment, which was the promotion company that was started by a friend and I years ago. That company ended up crashing and burning, literally, because the owner, Phil, we were doing an event at the Mid, and we're leaving the event, and he's like, "Hey, we're going to this after party. Jump in the car." I happen to be fighting with my girlfriend, who was not my wife, and I was like, "No, I'm gonna walk home." And so they take off, and he drove his car like off a cliff, like somehow. Yeah. It was a horrible tragedy at the time. My brother-in-law, my sister, and 2 other friends were in the car.
Really?
And yeah, the car, like, somehow it was right off Halstead. He was like trying to pull a U-turn somewhere. He like took a wrong turn, drove through like a barrier, and then the car like landed upside down.
Oh my God.
One of the girls in the car became paralyzed. My sister broke her neck. My brother-in-law lost his thumb.
Oh my God.
horrible tragedy. And allegedly he had been, drinking and partying at the MIT.
Yeah.
So that company just dissolved,
Like
basically.
this doesn't make sense anymore.
And
is he okay?
Yeah. They battled it out in the courts, and justice was served, and we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah.
But so that company just kind of dissolved. Meanwhile, I had been running all the social media accounts, and been learning the marketing side of promoting, and so I owned all these accounts with like thousands of followers, and so I kind of just switched the name, started a new entity, and kind of took off, picked up like where they left off after, like, I don't know, months had passed, but it just seemed like the logical thing to do. And then so I used that to supplement my own events. At that time, my DJ brand had already taken off, so it was like I was able to DJ without having to curate my own events, but I still did it anyways. And so I built that up over the years, kind of side by side with the DangerWayne brand. And then I started burning out a little bit, because it was like, it's tough to be a promoter.
Yeah.
You're just constantly having to reach out. It's like doing sales, but
business development is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. And it's like it's like a sales job that has like very small profit margins. Like you're talking like $10 a head if you're lucky, like stuff like that. And you can work out deals with venues to where you can get a percentage of the bar ring, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I realized that, like, I don't care about that. I don't like, this is it was such a hustle, and it just didn't, like, as my brand had already taken off the ground, I was like, I don't need to do this anymore.
Right. So
around that time, the owner of Treble Monsters reached out to me. He had just been, watching me from afar. His name is Kai Sakawi. And he's like, hey, I see what you're doing. Would you want to like grab dinner with me? I want to just talk to you about, potential opportunities. And I was like, sure. And so we went and grabbed dinner and drinks, and he was telling me about what he was doing, and it's basically like artist management and sonic branding for venues like throughout the city. And I was really impressed with what he told me. The other thing too was he's like, our niche is artist instrumentals, like, or DJ instrumental combos. And that was new to me. And then basically the way he pitched it was like, I want to like manage you just DJ.
Yeah.
I'll collect the checks, I'll pay you. Like, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And at the time I was like I was spending like my weekends running around from venue to venue, picking up checks, and like always, checks are late, or like I'm getting shorted. And like, it was like perfect timing. So
you're like, thank God. Like, I don't even like doing this.
Yeah. So he was like, he was pitching me, and then
you're like, let me think about it. Yes.
Yeah. And he was like, do you have any questions for me? And I was like, this is exactly what I need right now, basically. And so eventually I became an exclusive signed artist to that agency. And since then, the agency has just blown up.
Yeah.
And they manage like over 100 artists.
Oh, wow.
And they have tons of venues in Chicago, like 50 plus. Like, I'm guessing if he listens to this, he's going to yell at me that I don't know this stuff. But and then expanding to other cities as well. That's how I got these gigs: Boston, DC. Yeah. They do stuff in Vegas too. They've flown me out to Vegas before.
Well, it sounds like you got the right team right now. Everything's kind of lined up with your vision, which is critical for success.
Yeah.
And, aside from the DJing, you and I met through randomly, I think it was one of the cigar, poker, and real estate events here in Chicago. So not only are you, a rising star in the music scene, but you also are a smart businessman when it comes to real estate and networking as well. So I know you do real estate on the side. Maybe we can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So I got into it literally like 3 days after the bars shut down from COVID.
Yeah.
I had been, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's all about it's all about investing and based on like mainly real estate investing. And so it had been in the back of my mind. I was listening to all the podcasts, and I'm like, this is, how you can build wealth and be work optional. And financial freedom is always the goal.
Yep.
Especially as a DJ. Like I want to be able to do this because I love it, not because I have to.
Right.
And so as soon as the bars shut down, I was like, this is like the time is now. To act.
It's a sign.
Yeah. Jumped into real estate school. I got my license, and like the whole point of getting my license was so that I can buy my own properties and start analyzing rental properties.
Sure.
And I started working for a brokerage and building a book of business, and I ended up buying my first rental property in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just bought my second property this past April, and I'm looking currently to buy my third. So I've been putting out offers. It's just the market is crazy right now.
Right.
Just getting outbid on everything.
So now you're building multiple streams of income. Your real estate portfolio is climbing as well as your DJ portfolio. So you got a lot of things cooking for you right now. It sounds pretty promising.
Yeah. It's all about trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I'm on an upward one, which is good. It always seems like such a struggle, but when you zoom out, you focus on gratitude, and it's like, look at what I've already done and look at where I'm going.
I mean, you're building multiple businesses and brands that are not easy to just turn on. Like, you are building it one relationship at a time, whether it's someone that visits your shows or a management company or someone that you're renting to, or you go into these real estate networking events. So you're part of multiple communities, and it takes time and a lot of hard work. So I think you're starting to see it pay off because of all the work and sweat and tears you put into it for years.
Yeah. And it's funny how how the different industries have intertwined as well. So like I get like we had to reschedule this because I got a corporate DJ inquiry to DJ for a real estate company.
Mm-hmm.
For Westward 360 property management. And then I just DJ'd that Chicago multifamily meetup, the Investor Club.
Yep.
The holiday party, which I saw you at.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, a lot of my real estate clients come from nightlife too. So it's interesting. It's like in life, if you just do a lot of shit, things work out.
That's another recurring theme of the folks on this show is building an audience, whether you have a personal brand or people just know you as, oh, you're the real estate guy, or you're the whiskey guy, or you're the DJ that I know. And then enough people get to know you. And then now that you have that network, you can leverage that to your advantage when you decide to pursue different business ventures, whether you're trying to raise $1 million for a syndication, or you're DJing at a Vegas show for the first time and you need people to like show up. It's like, all right, I have this audience now, I can leverage it. And again, that takes time to build, but once you have it, super powerful.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for you before we wrap up, and it's been an absolute pleasure to get an inside look into the nightlife scene, but who's one DJ that you would like to either open for or DJ with that you haven't worked with yet?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Avicii. Now that like I hadn't really thought about that, but until you brought up the documentary and stuff, and I realized that he's one of the greats that no one will open for again.
Yeah, I can only imagine his Spotify plays have spiked since the documentary came out, and it's just so nostalgic for us to hear some of those bangers. It's like, damn, I miss him.
Yeah. But other than that, There's some of my favorite DJs of all time are Chicago guys.
Yeah.
And some are still working in Chicago. DJ Infinity is somebody who I've become friends with over the years. He's been in the scene for forever. When I started going to that club Energy when I was 17, he was the DJ, and now he's the resident DJ at Spy Bar. He does shows at Radius, and he works for Oris Presents, which is like the biggest talent buyer in the city.
Wow.
So, he, found value in getting involved in the business side of things as well.
Yeah.
So, which is inspiring to me, but he's somebody that has always had just excellent, impeccable taste, which is, I consider myself to have excellent taste as well.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I would love to work more with him somehow. And then another person who I mentioned earlier was Mark Stout, the guy who lives in Vegas. He's the resident with Win. Okay. And yeah, he's somebody that I've always looked up to. He's just always had great taste. Those are both guys who their mixes, they'll come out with mixes like every now and again, and I'm just like automatically I'm like, oh, I'm gonna set aside time to listen to this because I'm gonna steal all their tracks.
Well, for the listeners in the audience out there who want to learn more about you or follow your journey, how can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Instagram at DangerWayne. I post mixes to SoundCloud pretty regularly. I've been recording recently I've been recording a lot of my lounge sets. So if you like deep house or the more chill side of house music, stuff that you can listen to like when you're just like doing busy work or cleaning the house, whatever. And I also have some turn up stuff on there too, but DangerWayne on SoundCloud for music, and then Instagram would probably be the best way to get in touch other than that.
Awesome. Well, Eric, DJ DangerWayne, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. For those of you watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things that help the channel grow so we can get more interesting cats here. And I'm sure I'll see you at one of the West Loop clubs or maybe at a real estate networking event soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.